Hello. Good morning. I wanted to say welcome to online learning. Today is your first lesson. It's not going to be super difficult. We've learned all of this before, but I wanted to get your brains back in the math mindset to be able to be successful from this point on. So we are going to be reviewing fractions. So this video goes with assignment number 2. Again, assignment number 2. Review of fractions, or reviewing fractions. I forgot what I called it. Point being is that you are going to need to watch this video because this is how you're going to get the questions for that assignment. You cannot answer the questions without watching this video. All right? You watch and listen to the video, you'll be good. Now, in order to just cover all of our bases, we're going to start with some simple terms. All right? When I have a fraction, for example, 4/5. Each part of the fraction has names. Top part is the numerator, okay? The bottom number is the denominator. Good, denominator. So, for number 1 of your assignment, it says, so the question is, what is the top number of the fraction called? So again, this is number 1. What is the top number of a fraction called? Okay, the answer to that would be then we're going to go on and move on to number 2. Number 2 is, what is the bottom number of the fraction called? Okay, what is this bottom number of a fraction called? Denominator. Okay, good. In order to write a fraction like this, or to sketch it out, write it out, whatever, the denominator tells us how many pieces to split that whole up into. So if this is your whole, split it up into equal pieces. We should have 5. Let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Perfect. And I'm not the best artist, so these may or may not be equal. Just bear with me. All right. And then the numerator is the amount that we are representing. So that 4, they're going to be 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces shaded in. Now, what happens if we change the denominator? So let's say that this is 1/4. Okay, so now we're going to be drawing a fraction to represent the amount of 1/4. So you still draw that whole, the same size as the other one, because 1 whole is equal to 1 whole. The denominator tells us how many parts to split it up into, which is 4. Those are equal-ish, right? Okay. And then it tells us how many pieces to draw. And in this case, it is 1. Now, I wanted to challenge you guys with this next question. So this is the question for number 3. It asks, all right, if the denominator gets smaller, the amount or the size of the piece gets either smaller or bigger. So let's just go ahead and take a look at this, break this down. This piece is about this size, and that is 1/5. This piece right here is about 1/4. Now I know it's kind of hard to tell when they're attached to the whole, so let's just go ahead and I'm going to redraw it over here. That's about the same. And then that's about the same, right? Which one is larger? The 1/5 or the 1/4? This 1/4. All right. So again, the question for number 3, so this is number 3, if the denominator gets smaller, the actual size of the piece gets bigger. Even though this 5 is a denominator and it's a bigger number than the 4, the size of the piece is actually smaller than what the size of the piece is with this as a denominator, as a smaller denominator. So again, question number 3, if the denominator gets smaller, then the amount gets bigger. All right, so that's number 3. Moving on. These are just a couple things that you should know already that I'm going to go over with you. Number 4, the question is, when we add or subtract fractions, we always need it's 2 words. First one starts with the C. Second one starts with the D. Whenever we add and subtract fractions, again, this is number 4, you always need a common denominator. All right. Moving on to number 5. When we end up multiplying fractions, so we did this right before you guys have this break, a couple weeks before you had this break because we were in dividing fractions. When you multiply fractions, in order to do that, you can cross simplify. All right. Again, the purpose of cross simplifying is to have you work with smaller numbers, because smaller numbers are easier to work with. So you might as well, right? Especially when you multiply and the numbers end up getting bigger. So when you, and this is number 5, so this is question 5, when you multiply fractions, you have to cross simplify. All right. Moving on to number 6, reviewing dividing fractions. All right. We're reviewing dividing fractions. There are 3 key words. They are basically the directions for how you are going to divide fractions in general. First word is keep. Second word is change. Third word is flip. All right. That is question number 6. So again, the question to number 6 is, in order to divide fractions, what are the 3 key words, the 3 main words that you have to remember? Keep, change, flip. And again, that's the answer for number 6. Okay. Number 7, whenever we deal with fractions, no matter what it is, I don't care if you're adding, subtracting, multiplying, or dividing, if you have an answer, and if you can, you always check to see if you can simplify. All right. You have to always check to see if you can simplify. So number 7 is at the end of every fraction problem, you always have to simplify. All right. We're going to go over some examples now. If you have your math notebook, you should have your math notebook. You should sleep with that math notebook. I'm joking, by the way. We're going to go over a couple examples. If you have your math notebook, go ahead and just write them in as we go. All right. I need an eraser. Hang on. I got one. All right. Let's go over the first example. If you want to pause it and then do it on your own, that's fine. If you want to watch me go through it, that's fine too. It's up to you and what you want to do. Again, with the video, you can pause and play whenever you want to. All right. First example. What do we got? 4/5 times, so we're multiplying, 7/10. Hang on, someone's coming.